The BMF belt is no more. Allegedly, Charles Oliveira has been stripped of the BMF belt. He's been stripped of the BMF belt. The baddest man in a sauna, from the favelas, Charles do Bronx, Sifu has been stripped of the BMF belt, and they're going to do him versus Arman Tsarukyan in a 5-round co-main event to Van versus Pantoja 2, allegedly for UFC 331. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm seeing. I was seeing all sorts of crazy stuff. I was thinking we were going to see Charles versus Diego Lopez for the BMF belt. I was thinking we were going to see this very fight, Arman versus Charles 2, for the BMF, but allegedly it's not on the line. And thank you, UFC. Thank you, because as much as I actually like the concept of the BMF belt, as much as I'm actually kind of like a little bit of a fan of it because it's kind of cool, it gives the opportunity to guys who would never have sniffed a belt in their life to get one, like it did with Jorge Masvidal. But then it just became like this weird title eliminator belt. And it doesn't really make sense for a guy like Charles Oliveira to hold it. As much as he is like a fucking devastating fighter who goes out there and most of the time gets devastating finishes, the way in which he won that fight against Max Holloway, it was not a BMF way to do it. He lay on top of him, he controlled him. It was a wrestling-dominated fight. It was a relatively boring fight. I remember watching and being underwhelmed. Obviously, extremely high skill from both men, even Max Holloway to defend the submissions. But it wasn't a BMF belt title-winning performance. And if you put him in there against Arman Tsarukyan, it's likely going to be more wrestling exchanges. And it's not worth a BMF belt. You can't call Arman Tsarukyan a BMF if he beats Charles Oliveira. And after Charles Oliveira has done what he did to Max Holloway, he's kind of lost all credibility in terms of being a BMF in the future. So realistically, they need to strip that belt. And I can really only see them bringing it back for like John Jones versus Alex Pereira. If Jones decides to come out of retirement for the 7th time and fights Pereira, I can see that happening. But I really can't see it being this weird lineal belt that's defended and can be taken. Like it's not like that. It's not a unification belt. It's not an undisputed title. It's a fucking made up belt, which is made up for Jorge Masvidal, right? So, and Nate Diaz of all people. So it's not a belt that really should be defended in my opinion. And I'm glad that the rumors are stating that it's going to be stripped. It's not going to be on the line. And I'm happy that we're going to see Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan too. Arman Tsarukyan, exceptionally skilled fighter. But why the fuck do I open my phone every couple of weeks and I'm scrolling on Instagram, I'm scrolling on TikTok, and I'm seeing Arman Tsarukyan's wrestling some bloke at RAF. He's wrestling this influencer. He's going in there and he's fighting some jiu-jitsu practitioner. Like, bro, lock in, G, and do your fucking job, mate. You have one job, and it's not to be doing all these random-ass side quests, which puts probably a huge amount of strain on his body, and I can't imagine it's good for him. It's not as if he needs the money. He's just doing it for the love of the game at this point. He's either doing that side quest or he's thirsting on Nina drama, fucking as he's got a wife and kids at home. A bit dodgy in my opinion. Thirsting on Nina drama, hanging out with Neon or wrestling at RAF, losing to Colby Covington. Like, he needs to lock in and he needs to do his job. I'm glad they're not giving him a title shot. He doesn't deserve it. His last win was Dan Hooker. Love me some Dan Hooker, but I don't really think that's a win that's aged particularly well. And he's been very inactive since. It's been almost 8 months since his last victory, since his last fight in the UFC. He does not deserve to waltz in there against a guy like Justin Gaethje who's been active and fight for the title. I think he probably beats Justin, but it's a matter of who deserves it. And he's not deserving at the moment. He needs to prove himself, and he needs to prove himself again against Charles Oliveira. Early prediction for this fight. I do think Arman's going to get it done. Age is a factor here. Arman's only 29. He's only 28, 29, might be 30. He's a young guy. People think Charles Oliveira is in the second prime just because he went out there and subbed Matus Gamrot. He's not in a second prime. He is regressing, old Charles Oliveira. He is regressing. He got put to the shadow realm by Ilia Topuria. Prior to that, he's taken a huge amount of damage throughout his career. The chin does not get better. The weight cut does not get better. And fair enough, the Max Holloway win was impressive. The Gamrot win after being knocked out by, Ilia Topuria was very impressive as well. But I don't see massive improvements in Charles Oliveira's game, and I can see the regression physically and the speed regression in Charles Oliveira, and it's pretty evident. It's pretty evident, so I really do think Arman's going to get it done. It was a very close fight, that first one. All the way back at UFC 300, Charles was younger and more in his prime, and Arman's really only gotten better since. So I think Charles is probably he's going to lose this one. I think Arman's going to take it, and there's talks for this being for an interim belt. I don't think they need to do that. Justin's fought twice this year, right? Both of those times for a belt of some sort. It doesn't need to be an interim belt. It can be a title eliminator and give the winner a title shot. Give the winner a title shot. I love Charles Oliveira, one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. I hope he gets it done, but I just think Arman Tsarukyan is on another level. I think he truly is on another level. He's one of those guys that is exceptionally skilled. Exceptionally skilled. The only real blip in his career has been the loss to Gamrot, and he's bounced back from them since and done pretty well. But just the activity, the antics has kind of held him back a little bit in his career. But I do believe he will be champion, and I think he will get past Charles Oliveira. Let me know what you guys think about this fight in the comments below. Like and subscribe. Big news in the Big 26. We get Charles Oliveira versus Arman Tsarukyan. It's not confirmed, but UFC 331 is less than a month away. And if we see Van versus Pantoja and Arman versus Charles Oliveira, both rematches, the UFC is saved. The UFC is saved. Don't get me wrong. I loved UFC Serbia. The amount of finishes on that card was crazy, but there was no real progression towards anything in any of the divisions in which those fights took place. Obviously, the Blachowicz one against Sterling, that mattered because Sterling's ranked number 4 now. He's probably going to look for a fight against Paulo Costa, Khalil Roundtree. Like, he's looking towards the title, even though his mate is champion. It's a bit complicated. I just made a video about that. You should go check it out on the channel. While you're there, if you don't mind, like, subscribe. That'd be really, really great. I really appreciate that. In any case, I just made a video about that. That was really the only fight on that card that sort of mattered in terms of divisional progress. The rest of that card realistically didn't matter that much. Next weekend, Quillen Salkeld versus Matus Gamrot. It's a consequential main event, but the rest of the card isn't really that major. We've had a few duds before then. We had Ankalaev versus Gustav, which was an absolute snooze fest, put everyone to sleep. Didn't help that fight was like at 6 in the morning where I live. So it literally put me back to sleep, and I had to fucking set an alarm to get back up. Fuck Magomed Ankalaev, bro. What was I saying? Yeah. The UFC's been on a bit of a dud recently. It's been on a bit of a couple duds after duds. And if we see these rumored fights, Van, Pantoja, Oliveira, Tsarukyan, we are back, boys. We are fucking back. We are back and we are ready, yeah? Know yourself, bro, yeah? I hope you guys are looking forward to these fights. I hope the content is serving you well. I hope you're liking the videos so far. And I really hope that these fights are actually happening. And I'm not just waffling shit, because I made a whole ass video about Charles Oliveira versus Diego Lopez being for the BMF belt, and that does not seem to be occurring. I think not. So yeah, let me know your thoughts about this in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and drop some predictions. Drop some early predictions for these fights. I'll see you boys later. Much love, yeah.